my birthday, and we're having a rip-roaring time here at Buckingham Palace. Why, I might have had a few too many princely pims. You see, this is the type of pims that my darling little Edward pops together, and there's less pims and more prince. Oh, it's wonderful. Well, I'm just here to say welcome to the podcast. I must be off. Oh, Charlie's popping out the Ouija board so we can say hello to my lovely hubby. Have a wonderful my birthday, and God bless me. Queen out.
My name's Chris.
And I'm Kristie.
This is the Washing Up Podcast.
Yes, it is. It's wonderful.
Oh, it's the Washing Up Podcast. I said we had a special guest, and we don't have a special guest. We have the best co-host back.
I thought you meant the Queen, and you just had to bring me in because you wanted me to finally meet her.
Well, I mean, you sort of met her in the back room of the Vergies, if you remember.
Yeah, that's right, but it was brief.
Yeah, and you mean, it was before she was mentally scarred, obviously, by the loss of her dear Philip.
Yeah.
But apparently
she sent me a corgi.
Apparently she's getting on famously, though.
Yes.
Pims and everything. This is a genuine treat, obviously. We were talking about it this afternoon, and I just said to Kristie, want to do a single episode podcast?
And I feel like I've been playing far too much Skyrim this weekend. This weekend hasn't quite gone to plan. Today we were supposed to go off to something called the Queen's Feast.
Yes, we were.
Which has the lovely Sarah Tiong, who you would know from MasterChef cooking
Anna
at
Polyview.
it. And Anna Polyview. And Claire Van Buren, who is a friend of a friend's. I think I did party with Claire for a bit, probably in my early 20s. Who knows? There was a lot going on back in those days.
There were a lot of Pims.
Yes, so we were supposed to hang out with a lot of the queer folk, and unfortunately a illness has kept us away. So, those tickets went to other people who I hope enjoyed themselves royally.
Yeah, Queen's Feast, Queen's birthday. Oh.
Yes.
And so we decided that we do a very special episode of the podcast. This is like a very special blossom, really. And we did deal with serious issues.
There'll be morals to the story, lessons to be learnt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, there'll be a teaching moment.
Yes, there are places to hide. Depinder,
yeah.
I got her name right.
So
I'm getting to know people and I'm trying to remember them.
So this is kind of where we're at, is that we did do this tonight, obviously, with Kristie not having watched pretty much any of it.
No, I'd walk through the room and maybe catch something or see an ad or whatever, but nothing sunk in.
No, so Kristie knows nobody.
No.
And so as we go through, we'll sort of go with a smattering of Kristie's impressions of people. Mm-hmm. My impressions are well known by this point, obviously. Uh-huh. Kristie did, by the way, for those wondering, she did get to eat the 2 croissants.
Oh, good God. Oh, no, I didn't eat them all. I had a bite of each and then nearly went into a diabetic coma. There was just a fuck ton of okay, so the one with the lemon curd,
yep,
that was a fucking revelation.
It was.
It was delicious.
Oh, they were both coma-inducing.
Oh, absolutely.
But not as bad as the last one I made, which you filmed as I made it,
yeah.
and I was nearly sick. These 2 I wasn't nearly sick. I just knew when to stop.
Yes.
So, again, as we said, feel free, and a couple of people have already done that, on Instagram, hashtag washing up loon, and your attempt at making the loon croissant using things you've just got lying around the house.
I know you mean loon as in L-U-N-E, but I'm just thinking washing up loon, like L-O-O-N.
I mean, that kind of describes...
loony.
It describes things here in the crazy house.
Oh.
So, anyway, tonight...
We're being very against mental health issues.
And we're about to talk about mental health issues.
Sorry,
so let's start with that so we can then get to the fun stuff. So we'll actually work sort of backwards. So we'll start with the end, which was Brent, and the story of Brent all the way through this episode.
Oh, geez, that broke my heart.
Now
I've only known him for an episode, and I feel like I've lost someone from my family too.
Well, I mean, you've only known him for this episode, plus me yelling out through the other parts of the house, I'm a tradie.
Oh, that's true. Okay, so this is the dude.
This is the I'm a tradie. Kristie has no idea who anyone is, as I said, so this is good. So a couple of points. First of all, I tweeted out at the start when he was talking about how long he'd been away, and it was really hard being away from people, and you know, this separation is the longest time he's been away from them. I said at the start, and I agree, still maintain, I don't like it when people talk about this idea of it's such a long time away because you know that when you willingly enter the program. And that's the thing. It's not something where they're being forced away from families. Like they make a decision to go in. Yeah. That being said, and I still hold by that, more so through some of the other people who whinged about, I gave up a job to pursue my food dream. Well, that's your decision to make. You made that decision. Not as much for this because circumstances change.
Yeah.
What I will say is, though, I thought it was really good that they showed him having the courage and the ability to go, no, not right.
His story was told very well tonight because I haven't seen any of this. So I was able to come in, get an idea of who he was. I mean, I was looking at his family and, family and friend picnics thinking, this is very much like one of those kind of funky boutique beer ad kind of things, all these funky,
good looking craft beer, yeah.
Good looking, but not too good looking, well dressed, but not posh white people down at the beach, just being white people,
And the young child would run the beer over to dad.
Yeah, thanks, son. But you'd have a flashback to when he was a young nipper, running the beer over to his dad.
And he would call himself a nipper.
Okay.
Completely.
Yeah, so I got an idea, but I wasn't put off by it. I was just kind of okay, I get a sense of this guy. And then you said that, and then there was that clip at the beginning, I think, where we see people crying. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And then as we get talking through it, he's telling us how much he's missing his wife and child. And I'm like, oh, okay, I see where we're setting up for.
Yep. So I thought the way that was done...
Who's your email from?
No, that was the notification from the Queen saying it's her birthday.
Oh, okay.
I snoozed it and it just gave us the notification. So once again, it's telling us it's the Queen's birthday. God, she really does like to spread on thick, doesn't she?
She's a bit like me. I have a whole fucking month. She's because she's the Queen, she can have 2 fucking birthdays. Her actual birthday and a whole weekend of pomp and ceremony.
I still remain. It's like John Maloney, the British comedian, talking about the idea of the Queen. She's got 3 birthdays, 2 names. She's a tax dodge. But anyway, back to more serious...
Which passport shall I use this weekend?
Back to more serious issues on this quickly, and then we'll move on to more fun things.
Yeah.
I thought that the way they told Brent's story tonight was quite good. It's kind of weird because I think the way they told his story is great. I feel like as well, though, the problem with it is that they stretch the episode out because of the billion commercials that they show on a Sunday night.
Yeah.
Which makes the whole thing to some people, and I noticed on Twitter there were a couple of people commenting on this, feel a little bit more disingenuous, not from his perspective, but just the way it was presented, because they loaded it with a million commercials. They dragged the whole thing out. They did promos, and you wouldn't have seen the promos from Thursday night all the way through to tonight, with everybody crying, going, who will go home? What's the shocking revelation going to be? And that side of it felt a bit more tawdry and exploitative. Considering
the shit that's happened out of the MasterChef kitchen, but to do with MasterChef people...
yeah, that's a scandal.
Shocking revelations. This is pretty much, on the low side. There's no one being arrested or going to jail in this.
Or getting off on charges which they shouldn't have. Anyway,
sorry, you were going to. But what I have to say is that to show, a cisgendered white guy, being very authentic and expressing his emotional needs and his mental health needs on a national platform is exactly the kind of thing that we need to see. Not more, as in, I would like people's mental health not to be bad, but it's good to have this out there to give some role models of how this can be done and done well.
And the follow-up to that is the way that Jock in particular handled it.
Oh, absolutely.
Where Jock just said to him, mate, let's go for a walk.
Yeah.
And sat down with him and had the conversation. And look, they obviously were always going to capture the conversation on audio. So that was again, I thought the way they did it was as unintrusive and unstage managed as they could have done it while still capturing the authenticity of the conversation.
Obviously, I'm pretty, my gut instinct would say that behind the scenes a lot went into this particular situation. That there, of course, there would have been possibly some private discussions done off camera, and that's fine. But
we don't need to see those.
We don't need to see those. This is less dramatic, but authentic, and the responses of the judges and the other cooks, like the contestants, was lovely.
Yeah, I loved it.
It wasn't overboard, but it wasn't.
But I also
disingenuous.
But as I said, I thought it was really good in particular to see Jock have that level of conversation with him and just go, and again, and a lot of people commented that the moment for them was when Jock put the beads in his hand and just went and put his worry beads in his hands, went, just be well.
Yeah.
And that was, again, I thought that was really well done, and I thought the whole thing was really well done.
And the thing is that we need to take into consideration. Under normal circumstances, rewind 2 years, put this group in, you probably wouldn't have this situation. But we are a year out from having the pandemic start. It is known among health professionals that it is going to have a lot of mental health issues.
Yep.
And generally what you find is that when you're going through the stressful situation, you're holding it together, you're fine.
Yep.
And a lot of people who are probably listening to this podcast are nodding going, yep, know that feeling. And then when you're in a moment of safety, you have a bit of a breakdown. Because, and I'm not saying that he was in a safe space, but he's got the stress of the pandemic and, being away. And he's obviously close to his wife and child. And I think that's beautiful to see.
I mean, I think the hardest part was when he was talking about it tonight, and he sort of said to him, sort of said in his voiceover later on, and obviously they're done after the fact. But he mentioned at the time, he sort of looked at the camera and went, well, if I have to cook again, I don't think I can do it. My internal monologue in me went, well, what would have happened if he'd gone through? Would that have been something where tomorrow he would have turned around and gone, no, I can't do that now? He
was probably, for the past 2 to 3 weeks, going, no, I can power through this. And Jock reflected that back to him, saying, look, you kind of been struggling with the past couple of cooks. I don't think this was a whim decision. This is not someone who's just
building up.
This is not someone who's just gone, oh, bugger it, I've had a bad cook. I mean, to me, his food looked the tastiest that I would have eaten, that sticky chicken. Unfortunately, I missed the judgment because my illness kicked in.
The judgment was just that it wasn't seasoned properly.
Oh, yeah, and I would have thrown some salt and pepper on there and eaten it quite happily, Brent.
You would have been fine with it.
I would have been fine with it. You can cook me that chicken, we're good. But I don't think he did a shit cook and then went, oh, I can't do it. That wasn't it. That wasn't. No,
I think there were others who maybe, and we'll get to them in a minute, who maybe
should be thanking Brent.
Yeah, because there are a couple of people who could have been in massive trouble.
I've got 6 minutes to cook.
There was some massive trouble going on there. Pete, I'm looking at you. Maya, I'm looking at you.
Oh.
There were a couple of people that were in big trouble tonight.
They are lucky the Matrix kicked in and they, like Neo, are dodging bullets.
So let's get to the fun stuff now that we've covered the serious stuff.
Yeah, and I just want to say, like Channel 10 did, there are places that you can reach out to, Beyond Blue, Lifeline, and check on your friends. We're just got to show each other love.
Exactly. So let's get into the more fun stuff.
If you want to show me love, just send me chocolate or biscuits. I'm really into biscuits at the moment.
Yeah, send her chocolate, send her biscuits. Again, just reach out. I know I'm appearing all the time and you're seeing a lot of me, but
preferably like someone who's redone the Arnott's Honey Snaps. I keep saying that and no one's fucking done it. So what kind of pull do I have? Not as much as the Dyson vacuum cleaner.
Okay, let's get to the ads. We're going to start the rest of this MasterChef talk with the ads because my word, hasn't vacuum technology come along in the time it's been since you've been watching the show?
I walk away for one fucking season and I come back because I don't watch a lot of, I should say, any commercial television, and particularly not live commercial television. It's usually on catch up, to find like scientifically and analysing fucking vacuum. Who cleans and wants real-time scientific data on their dust?
What? And then the next commercial,
yes,
the other company has gone out and basically replicated the Ghostbusters containment system. The light is green, the trap is clean.
You're going to have some dickless guy walking in going, shut it all down. I'm from the EPA.
And you've got to turn around and look down the barrel at the EPA and go, yeah, this guy has no dick. I mean, vacuum technology. I wasn't expecting to talk about it ever, but the speed at which it's evolved, and you're there going, what's been going on since I've been gone?
Like, okay, like I'm triggered by cleaning, right? I fucking hate it. When growing up, my mum was a clean freak, like she still is. And I feel a lot of judgment about cleaning. And I just don't think I need, like, my vacuum cleaner to be, like, not just going, you're doing a shit job, but going, here's the scientific evidence to back that up. It's like, you know, the AI behind it is writing a fucking research paper on just how shit my cleaning is.
And also, like the other company, the one that's got the putter on top, sucks it all out.
Yeah.
Why don't they then just build in something into your roof automatically where you hit the button and it just sucks all the dust up into the ceiling?
Just your cat.
Cut the middleman out completely.
It's just a full
vacuum house.
Vacuum house. That would be fun because you go to one end of the house and like oil up the floor. Come on, kids are going for a ride.
Just start pushing cats.
Screw going to Dream World.
You're pushing cats across an oiled up floor and watching as the vacuum takes them up.
It's a suck bar, not a Roomba.
Anyway, so that's the commercials.
Or is it a bar?
Now, the other thing that
No.
I was going to say, the other thing that I heard tonight, which I haven't heard in a while, because we're all used to it on Twitter, was, I certainly haven't missed my shit husband.
Oh my fucking God, I love Judith Lucy, but this is me from the 1990s going, Jude, you've sold out, and that's fine because you didn't get a lot of work, so I appreciate that you need a paycheck, but fuck me, Darls. You're on my shit husband.
Again, as I said, the only reason why those of us in the MasterChef audience, of course, love My Shit Husband is because it cuts the time of MasterChef down and keeps it tight.
Look, the other thing I really didn't miss were fucking The Project.
Oh, yeah.
One, we caught the end of it. You know, love Amy Winehouse, but fuck me. I don't need Lisa What's-Her-Facey acting like she's an Amy Winehouse fan.
And I didn't know anything about it, and I turned around to you before the end of it, and I went, I bet he's got a book out.
And ta-da!
And sure enough, they held up the book.
Really didn't miss that Tommy dude.
Oh, Tommy! Nobody misses.
God.
Nobody misses Tommy Little. Anyway,
but what I was here for, again, the fucking menu log ad. Lee Lin Chin. Was it menu log? Yeah, yes. It was menu log.
No, Uber Eats. Shit company, great ad.
Yeah, with a Casa de Chin.
Casa de Chin. With Ray Martin and Lee Chin. It's a brilliant ad. So, and it is ironic, by the way, that the one of the three delivery services that advertises the least on MasterChef is the one that's sponsoring it.
They don't need to. They're too cool. They're cool. They're from Melbourne.
Melissa Leong just appears once in one of their things and that's it.
Yeah.
Also, Kristie got to see the joy that we've all experienced in the last couple of weeks, which is 1 million Samsung commercials.
Look, that's cool. I'm kind of coming up to the end of my contract, so I'm trying to decide what I want.
Looking for a new phone?
Looking for a new phone. I currently have a Samsung. Maybe I do need to Melissa Leong this, and then I too can FaceTime people my food.
Hashtag not a sponsor, but hashtag open to it.
Yeah.
So let's get into bits and pieces of the episode. We'll just sort of scattergun things that we saw, things that we liked, things that we didn't like. I'm going to start off by saying Maya's panna cotta. When the first one appeared, yes. I thought that she had yet to either cook or chill it.
Yeah, it was only half hour into her cook. I was hoping it would be a bit further along, but I wasn't surprised that it came out looking like a mess that you'd have to clean up.
And when Andy then ran away from the bench going, it's set, that is the loosest definition of the word set.
It did look a bit prolapsey. It was very white, so it didn't have that pink, kind of like internal organ look. But it did have the shape and consistency.
Of a prolapse.
And I think it's kudos to her to make it look edible. She put a little soil around it. She garnished the shit out of that prolapse and made it look edible.
You've missed this, people, admit it. Yeah, look, I was not. I mean, obviously, I was disappointed because I took panna cotta off the card.
Yeah, you
this
were
week.
quite upset about that.
I was. I'm like, I put panna cotta on last week and no one made one. I take it off the card. Fucking panna cotta. Pete. Now, this is the first exposure you've really had to clean cut, and that's what I reckon.
Yeah. He was an interesting person.
Isn't he an interesting dude?
My initial thing was like, he looks like someone that would grate on my nerves, but I like him. And then as the episode went on, I'm like, no, I think I'd put a meat cleaver through his head in the nicest way because I know he's the loveliest person. And this is really just my issue. This is my issue, and I'm sorry to you, Pete. I'm sure we could enjoy, eating randomly flavoured things together.
Yes. I mean, my biggest disappointment about Pete was that he stuck to the tried and tested and true. There was a granita. There was he just went back to the well again, and we don't need to keep going back to the well. Like, do something different. Like, we didn't get an ice cream. It was amazing. In your honour, they didn't make one. It was incredible.
Nice.
We had a sorbet, but we didn't have any ice cream, so we got close, but we're not quite there. But
I mean, I haven't watched the whole year, so I haven't got to the level.
No, you haven't got to us.
Of wanting to stab someone every time an ice cream pops up.
Yeah, you haven't got to the point where you wanted to drown people in an ice cream. What a way to go! But I just felt that. Like, I wasn't happy with the fact that he went back to the well and just sort of went with all the stock standard favourites. I mean, granted, in weird flavours, with the vinegar and stuff like that. There were the weird flavours there.
But you have to appreciate, and this is something that we've said, that eliminations tend to make people play it safe. And tonight we saw a bit of that, beautifully executed. But we saw people playing safe. What did he say? No, I excel when I do weird shit. So he did his weird shit in a granita and a sorbet.
And look, he didn't exactly excel, because he fucked his timings up, and he would have been in deep shit had he actually had to cook in the second round.
Yes, look, he's one of the people that was the Matrix.
Yeah.
He is the Neo.
He would have been...
Or Trinity.
He would have been in massive trouble. I thought the one that I felt sorry for tonight actually was Sabina, because I thought what she did with the tomatoes was really clever.
Okay, so she was the girl who I said her apron and her T-shirt colour make her look like a woodland elf, that colour.
Yes, that was
okay.
Her.
I really appreciated what she did.
And she accentuated it and actually managed to colour match, even though she didn't know what colour she would be wearing. But the thing with hers was, I thought that there was a skill, and I thought there was the way that she used the ingredients to do, obviously, the tomato. And as I said, there's those, and I don't like the words umami bomb. I don't like anything flavour bomb, but they talked about umami bombs, and I got what they meant. It was incredibly clever.
Yeah, she went, okay, I've got 90 minutes. How am I going to use this? One, I'm going to err on the side of caution and create something that's not going to take a lot of my time. Well, she used 30
minutes, basically.
30 minutes. Gave herself less than an hour to go and do second round, but still created something that I think was quite strong and wasn't a throwaway.
And I think she kind of suspected as well that Kishwa was going to produce something that would be outstanding.
Yeah.
And so it was almost like, look, I can make something really good here, but I'm probably going to have to cook again, so I'll give myself the time.
Strategy, thoughtfulness, love it. I really appreciated that.
And Kishwa's curry, I thought, looked really good.
Jesus Christ, that woman. Okay, I don't know if they've been doing this all season. I'm hoping so, but the ability to learn. So learning that Kishwa's from Bangladesh, and this is from the hills area, and the foothills, and just learning a bit about that. That's got more of a sourness flavour, but there's the fruitiness there. I'm like, this is great. I've learnt something new today. I love it.
It's one of the things we have seen, and there's been a lot of back and forth. I actually think the back and forth has been more based around people trying to stop the back and forth and the back and forth actually happening with regards to they're just making curries, or they're just doing this, or they're just doing that. I think there's been a lot of people who remember what happened with Laura last year and are very, we're going to jump on this now. I think it is appearing more and more this, but we've seen that they can do other things as well, and we have seen that. And I think there's been, I think what the thing is that they're not making the same curry. Curry is a wide variety of things, and they're making varieties of things. They're not just doing the same one all the time. If you were making the exact same curry every week, exact same flavours, exact same ingredients, just bang, 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 bang down the line, I'd have a big problem with it.
Yeah.
But we're not getting that at all. We're getting variety in the types of curries, in the way, in the ingredients, in the spices, in the sweetnesses, in the regions they come from.
And I think that because we have those dialogues, you're going to have less of the kind of like, how can I put it, the unnecessary pomp and decorations, like things that look fantastic but have banal flavours because they translate better visually, but, taste-wise, they're probably just pretty bland. But when we learn more about curries, then we're not going to get 600 spheres and 600 dome moulds and 600...
Exactly, which I think is where the benefit comes in. So I think that's the good bit, is that you get that... You get the variety the more people learn about it, obviously. So I think that's a really good and a really positive way to sort of look at that. I mean, we had a couple of others that I thought were really sort of had some interesting concepts.
I was really intrigued by the Bang Bang cauliflower, and I was disappointed that it didn't come off.
Yeah, that was one of the two they were in the montage. So there were two lots which were just in the montage, and like the feedback was interesting, and don't ever give an interesting bit of feedback.
No, or that was a solid effort.
That was a concept. That was definitely a concept. I've seen this concept before, and this is certainly one of them, which was sort of the way that they tried to judge. I also think it's really interesting, and people have commented all season, and I'd like to get your view of it. We didn't see much of Mel going through the kitchen and talking to them while they were cooking. We see Andy tends to be the one going to the benches.
At first, I'm pretty sure I saw her and Jock going up. Side note, Jock looking solid in his, three-piece suit. Andy looking like Andy. Mel glamourai, I think is
yes,
what
the
we call
glamourai,
it. The
yes.
glamourai. I just thought she needed to accessorise with the samurai sword, and it would have been on point.
Yes.
But yeah, we didn't. I think we saw a bit of her, but not a lot of her. But then again, I feel like we saw more of the contestants.
Yeah, we saw more of the contestants, but we saw more of Andy at the benches than anybody else.
Yeah.
And they did a lot of Andy. Andy and Jock have been doing a lot of walking this season, and they're doing a lot of the walk up, make people rethink their life and walk away from the benches.
Oh,
and
trying to be Paul Hollywood.
Yeah, Andy did a fair bit of that tonight. Mostly he picks on Linda, because Linda does have that ability to suddenly change all of her decisions in 5 seconds.
Is that one that was confused by opening soy sauce?
Yes.
Or some bottle of sauce?
Yes, she was the one who was confused by opening the sauce. Manoli was the one who suggested that jackfruit is very hard to find.
Where does she live?
Northern Territory.
Oh, it might be difficult up there. Down here, because we live in the southwest of a
Miscellaneous
city, you can get jackfruit.
You can get jackfruit for days.
Give us
I can't walk down the road without bumping into jackfruit.
Maybe we need to hook Manoli up with the Fruit Pirate Princess.
Oh, that could be really cool.
Just a bit of...
A Bake-Off MasterChef crossover.
We need more of that.
The other question that I do have, and I would like someone to answer it, so Manoli, if you hear this, please. In Manoli's bit with the family when she was talking about wanting to bring Sri Lankan cuisine to the world.
To put it on the map.
Yes, it's on the map already.
Sri Lanka's there.
Colombo's the capital. So what I thought was really interesting was the coconut.
In slow motion.
The slow motion halving of the coconut. And it was almost like that was supposed to be her bit to camera, and they just sort of like, what are we doing here, guys? Like, was she practicing?
Maybe it's been her lifelong dream to do that to camera, because I noticed there was no food play or plate play in the opening credits.
There's lots of looking off to the camera, off camera whimsically and smiling or laughing.
There's no, lifting a cloche and throwing flour and juggling pineapples. There's none of that. Although I would like to see a more circus-based opening for MasterChef 2022.
I think circus-based MasterChef could be a fascinating concept.
Okay, we're at the point now where MasterChef can take some crazy turns. Why not? Why not throw some circus in? Just have a Barnum theme. Everyone liked The Greatest Showman. Get Hugh Jackman in as a special guest.
They could get Hugh Jackman. That would be incredible.
Tight wire across the mast from the gantry downwards.
So I think
Slack line out into the garden.
So I think the two dishes that were probably against each other that were the weakest was, first of all, the bean man cauliflower,
and
which was up against the quick
Exo-Pippi.
the quick exo pippies.
See, this is where we did see Mel, because she's like, exo sauce takes a lot of time to build up that
I was
flavour.
looking forward to seeing what you came up with. And I don't think you quite got there, is what I think happened.
Look, I think there was just a little bit of panic by that bloke. Just like, what's the sauce called? It's
that's
exo
Scott.
sauce.
That's Scott.
Oh, Scott.
So
it's exo sauce. If he just said something like, I'm just making like a fresh chili lime, garlicky kind of concoction.
And also, let's quickly talk about Aaron and his mushrooms.
Oh, I liked Aaron because he was like, who was Andy yelling out, someone's finished? Someone's finished. I think someone's finished. I'm like, that would be me, dude.
Yeah, that was the finish. Yeah, it's finished. It's finished. She's finished. I think she's finished. Because we've had. I think though it was interesting to note. I think some of them probably did the best job they've actually done in the kitchen.
Oh, that's a shame.
A couple of them did there were a couple of really good efforts there tonight, which were improvements on things they've done in recent times, because they tried something a little bit different and out there.
Oh, okay.
And that's sort of where I understand, obviously, with the circumstances, they are what they are. But my only big disappointment out of this is basically you've got a whole episode of cooking that basically sort of went to waste a little bit.
Look, it did and it didn't, because...
Agreed.
This thing can happen to anyone, anywhere. And maybe I've got a bit more grace to it because it is the first episode, so I can be I can give as much leeway and as much forgiveness as anyone who hasn't invested how many weeks now into this show and is just going to like, oh my God, it was a cook for nothing. But I actually think it was a cook for something, because it actually demonstrated some of the people who are more thoughtful about their cooking process, some people who know their strengths but know how to present that in a situation, and others who went, I'm going to give it a bell.
The only thing that some people brought this up on Twitter, and I think I probably started to agree with it as we watched the cook, because there was no commonality between the two people cooking.
Yeah,
like I would have wanted there to be a common ingredient, like they draw something out and it's like you've both got to use this somewhere, and you've got this is your whole time of your cook. Because otherwise, it was a free cook, but with a time limit, and only half of it was against somebody else, head to head, where you couldn't see them. And like it's the head to head bit that you're judging apples and oranges, possibly quite literally. The other thing was you've got, with the judging and with what's going on, you had people who finished in half an hour up against people who were finishing at like 55 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
And so one dish is waiting a lot longer than the other as well. So even if you're warming it, even if you're putting it into a food warmer, whatever you're doing with that, you're not getting necessarily the same quality.
I get that. I think you could actually use that to your advantage. If you were cooking something that maybe just needed a little bit extra, you could swap it down a bit faster. But there's pitfalls to any challenge you're going to put up. And the strengths in this challenge is you're putting the onus on that person, because you are giving them some boundaries, but enough to craft themselves with. They have to decide, how much am I going to put it through? How well do I know my other contestant? How well am I going to back myself, like you talked about with Sabine? And then, the pitfall is someone who goes, oh, look, this should take me 45 minutes and it's a panna cotta. And they're like, oh, maybe a bit more time, But before you know it, they're like, holy shit, maybe I should have called that early and just gone to the second round.
Yep. Or Pete, who was desperate for something to happen, and it did.
And come on, people, what you could have done, gone, okay, my panna cotta's not going well. I was going to spend 2 minutes popping into the pantry to get some snacks, calling it, fucking off for a drink.
Yeah.
And a little snack.
Learn from the kids.
They have it down for, like Felix. He will steer
Philo.
I just rename people. He will steer you in the right direction.
Exactly. Philo is the guide. You need to use Philo as your guide.
And full of olives.
Yep, exactly. Philo and Ben from Junior MasterChef, they had it nailed.
Yeah.
Any other closing thoughts?
Look, Depinder, I will say it again. Hiding places, you said. There's nowhere to hide. You're literally behind a wall, darling. So you hide in the pantry, out in the garden. Like, I'm sorry if you didn't get to play hide and seek growing up. Happy to help rectify that. I think we can do a full, audience v MasterChef hide and seek just to help Dopinder out so that she can understand hiding places. Because what's she going to do in a zombie apocalypse?
The other thing that I will point out as well tonight, which the people at home didn't get to enjoy, but I certainly did, was at the start of the episode, they come in and they're getting lined up, and you're of course reacquainting yourself with the kitchen, and looking at the backdrop, obviously, and all I get for about 30 seconds is you looking at the TV and just yelling, "Wall meat!"
Oh, that's right, the
wall meat.
The wall meat needs to be in play. Like, fuck me, you've got a pantry, you've got a garden. Why don't you have an aging meat area? Like, you've got the obviously prop meat. But we need wall meat. Bring in the wall meat. Some aged fucking meat. Just a whole fucking, what's that? Fucking Spanish fucking ham that costs $1 million.
Serrano?
No, the one that is aged and you cut it straight off the bone.
Yes.
I can't friggin' remember. But, just a whole bunch of aged meat on the wall and you can be like, wall meat is in play.
You've got the kitchen and the wall meat, folks. You've got the kitchen and the wall meat. Well, I must say, it's been good to actually do a podcast. And I know that it's been good for everybody else to have you on a podcast again because they're getting sick and tired of the sight of my bloody head on Instagram Live every week.
Look, thank you for your forbearance with Chris's head on Instagram Live every week. As you're quite aware, there's a lot of shit going down. I've had to, just like Brent tonight, had to go, no, my mental health and energy needs to be poured into another situation at the moment. So, yeah, please keep enjoying my husband's head. That's what she said first.
And on that, we will leave it there. Until next time, I'm still Chris.
And I'm still Kristie.
We'll catch you all later.
Yes, and I'm still the Queen. Oh, Philip, if you're there, knock thrice.